I am not a Negro, black, colored, African American. I'm a Moorish American. Peace.
Yeah. Hey, 5 on the right, 2 on the left, man. You know what time it is. Yo. We just Moors in America, soar through the shores and endure criminal acts of war on our character. 7 years after the 4th score, no reward. Shout out to the most courageous, they was jumping over barriers. Where does that compare to you? We come from a place where you scared to visit our area. We come from a place where it's scary for good Samaritans. Heavy luggage we carrying, babies having babies. It's crazy being American. Praise the one and only Allah, there's no comparison. La ilaha illa Allah, body and buried gin. Laughing at you clowns like ha-ha, dodging the Nephilim. Conquer lower self with the high, follow your regimen. Way before they came we were gods and now we specimen. Tried to take the light from our eyes, thank God for Edison. Then they put the wool on our eyes, it's so embarrassing. Now we travel frequently, we should invest in Sheraton. All of us got gold on our bodies whenever we stepping in. Screaming Ramadan, Mubarak, training the flesh again. Wishing we could move as a unit just like the Mexicans. Dodging all the foods with estrogen, synthetic medicines. All sin isn't devilish. Sometimes the decisions that you make come for a better gift. Sometimes when you sin is to relate to all your brethren. Heavenly gates all in our face, we the champions. We live in the sky, we see the angels on the chariots. Waiting on the $20 bill, face a Harriet. I bet you I'ma carry it. I'm in love with music to the point I wanna marry it. But my love for people is greater, so I write messages. Largest spending power, but we still sit at a deficit. Living amongst prejudice, even at our residence. Moors in America, flourishing, excellent. Let's buy up some neighborhoods and groom our own president. Yeah. And I come to you today with all intentions of spreading love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
All right, peace. Peace, Moors. About to go ahead and get started right now. I want to thank everybody that's on here with us. Make sure you click like and share. We're about to talk about something that to me should be obvious, right? Should be pretty obvious across the board for all of us, but it's good because there's a lot of new people coming into this information, so we're going to clear some things up. In this day and age, pretty much anyone with the platform can get out there and say whatever they want. But just because people are saying things or teaching things and saying that what they teach is more science or is Islamism, it doesn't mean that it lines up with what we really have, with what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali established for us. All right? And I want to clear that up. And the way that we're going to clear it up, we're going to actually bring the Prophet's words. We're going to bring the laws that we have. Our Holy Quran is law. Our divine constitution and bylaws is law. The proclamations that the Prophet actually put out on the record, published in the Moorish Guide, that's law. All right? So we're going to clear this up. And, I say share this because, like I said, there's people coming into this movement from every direction. The Moorish hordes are here. And I want to make sure we all have a clear understanding just across the board. And that's what Moors in America is about. We want to put out thorough information, not just not just our ideas, not just our opinions, even though you can't help but, I guess, taint things with your opinion. But when you go to the law, when you go to the actual law, that clears up all the confusion. All right. Now I know there was another person who had their own take on this whole subject of whether or not the membership in the Moore Science Temple of America is open to everyone. All right. They may have felt like it was discriminatory for the people who feel otherwise, or that it's hatred. And I think that's an oversimplification of things, a gross oversimplification of things. And I'll give you an example of that. When you had our people out there complaining about the police brutality, they were saying they want some type of reform, they want action done. What would the people like Joe Biden automatically go to? They would automatically, instead of taking a realistic approach to fixing things, they would automatically say something like, oh, we can't defund the police. That's just ridiculous. And it's like, why would you go from actually setting up a board to review these police brutality cases, or something tangible and realistic, to defund the police? That's just what they would go to, because they knew that automatically that would sound ridiculous. And that's what it sounds like too, for someone to automatically say, oh, that's hatred. It's hatred that the Moore Science Temple of America is for those who were reclassified or who were denationalized, right, as Moors. I mean, as Negroes. That's who it's for. And so it's not hatred to say that, but to just automatically go to hatred, right? That's dumbing things down. That's dumbing things down. And that's the same way that Joe Biden flipped it when they had his the Zoom call with him and some of the so-called black leaders. He immediately went to defund the police. Why? Because it sounds ridiculous. And in their eyes, it let them off the hook, because they're not planning on actually doing anything about it. And so I just want to speak on that, because, you know, it's important that we put this in the proper perspective. But like I said, we're going to go to the prophet's words. All right. And I thank you all for coming in. I want everybody to click like and share. We're about to go ahead and get started. So make sure you click like and share. Peace and love, everybody. And comment if you have any questions or any other ideas about this topic. Feel free to put them in the chat, and also click that share button. And we're getting started now. Peace and love. Peace, Morris. Let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I want to try to stick to the prophet's words. Okay. I'm not trying to belittle anyone or act like anyone else's feelings or thoughts on this subject aren't valid. But at the end of the day, we want to stick to what the prophet actually brought. Islam, Brother Jackson Bay. Islam. So the question here is membership in the Moorish Science Temple of America open to Europeans? And one of the reasons why we're discussing this, I've heard people talk about this before. I've seen people online of European descent who are into this information, you know, which is great. I'm not knocking it. I mean, like, I've seen all types of stuff. You see anything online, right? But I've seen people of European descent and they want to put an L or a Bay on their name. And, you know, it's not different than anything else that we do. You know, people all over the world want to copy, want to be a part of it. And I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking anything, but a line has to be drawn. And I'm not saying a line has to be drawn as if other people are like our actual enemies or we're against anyone or anything like that. No, I'm just saying that there are some things that are done for a specific reason, that literally have a specific reason behind it. And if you don't understand that specific reason, then you would think that it's wrong to say, no, Europeans are not allowed to join the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, they can be sympathizers. They can be well-wishers. They can assist us. They can help to get the word out. Say someone is in a relationship with the European. Hey, quiet. All right. Say someone's in a relationship with the European and they want to come in and proclaim their nationality, right? So they can come in, they can join, and, you know, they want to teach this, make sure that their mate or whatever is learning so they can help teach the children, because maybe they both recognize this is important, and that's cool and everything, but they can't join. And the reason, we're going to get into it though. Like I said, you could oversimplify it and say, well, that's just mean. That's just hatred. That's spreading hate. But we're going to tell you why it's not. It has nothing to do with spreading hate, nothing to do with anger, racism, anything. America specific purpose. And you can't skip over that, right? So yeah, if you're looking at the memes, you know, yeah, it's funny, right? Okay, but we're going to get into it because it's, like I said, it's not about putting anyone down, but all right, for those who don't know any better, I want you to watch this and learn. And then there's some people who may know better. They may already know this, but they're still spreading falsehood. You have people who look like us who were physically, legally boxed in to a subhuman status. Their history was erased. They had to rejoin the human family. And those are the people who the temple is for, as far as coming in, proclaiming your nationality and moving together. Now, relearning how to be a nation. That's who it's for, but we're going to prove that. So obviously that doesn't apply to everyone. But these are just my words. Now we're going to show you why that's being said. So it has nothing to do with excluding people or racism or anything like that. It's like, look, this is who it's for. And there's a specific reason for that. Things that have happened in history that have led up to that point, why that was even necessary. And you can't skip out on that. So there's people who don't know this, and I understand. So you will learn a lot from this. And then for those who already know and they want to do kind of like I said before, like Joe Biden and them want to say, oh, we can't defund the police. Why would you automatically go to defund the police? It's just ignorant. I even heard on the call, that Zoom call he was on, I think Al Sharpton or somebody said, we don't want to defund the police. Why do you keep saying that? Right? So to say, oh, this is racism, you're doing the same thing. But here we go. So meetings, public meetings, they're open to the general public. However, taking up membership, because membership in the Moorish Science Temple of America is synonymous to being a citizen within our nation. Why? Because the Prophet set up a government. He set up a government that actually has three offices, three branches. Okay, so when we look at Act 6, remember, this is from our divine constitution and bylaws. These are our laws. When you look at Act 6, it says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and partial of this said government. Now, some people could just take that part and see, this is just open for everyone. Everyone can come in. No, you look at the rest of it. It says, and know that it's just assuming that you fit into this category that we're about to read. With us, all members must come in, must proclaim their nationality. And then we're teaching them their nationality and divine creed, that they may know that they are part and partial of this said government within the Moorish Science Temple of America, and know that they are not what? NBC, Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians. Not saying that they may know that they are not XYZ and Italian and Irish and Scandinavian and all this other stuff. No, specifically, and you can look at this and say, well, excuse me, it's kind of excluding. What about the people in the Caribbean and Latin America and all that? They're also included later on in the Quran, right, in the divine origin of the Asiatic nations, but it's specifically for those in the United States of America, because we had the black codes here, we had the Negro Acts here, but we'll get into that. So they may know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government. So you've been boxed in by these black codes, these black laws, these Negro Acts, Negro codes, and now you must proclaim your free national name connected to your line of descent, because they removed that, right? And so to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth, you have to proclaim. This is the reason why a lot of great God of the universe ordained noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. So that's very specific. He's giving you the line of descent, but right up there, that highlighted part, you can't skip that, because when it's saying with us, the members must proclaim their nationality, it tells you who it's talking about. It says, know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians. Very clear. This video could actually be over right now, because that's extremely clear. There's no leeway on that, right? And I see the brother in there, but just as that brother deleted the comments where I put that act in on this video, you can't come in here spreading confusion. You can't skip over that. It says who it's for. When you say who something's for, somebody else can't come and say, but it doesn't say that these people aren't included. If you come in and you say this is for those who, so that they know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians. All right, we know who those people are. When you say that this is for those people, someone else can't come and say, but he didn't say it's not for Chinese people, but he didn't say it's not for Russians. You can't do that. He said who it's for in his own words, plain and clear, right? So you can't, I mean, that's crazy, but somebody was actually just trying to do that just now in the chat. He said who it was for. Everybody saw that, right? We all witnessed that. He actually said specifically who it's for. It's distinctly evident that the all members referred to in Act 6 who must proclaim their nationality, these are quotes from Act 6, with us, meaning with the Moorish Science Temple of America, that those members that are being referred to are the people who at one point carried the misnomer Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians. And that's all described in Act 6. So in other words, their ancestors were affected by the Negro Acts, the various, remember, this didn't just occur one time. This occurred throughout the 1700s and 1800s. So these were the people affected by these various acts, the Negro acts and the Black codes, the Black Christian codes. These were inflicted upon our people throughout the 17 and 1800s. So it didn't just happen overnight. It took a process to get to this point, and that's why the prophet created a process for us to get out of that point. So there's not any confusion from a true Moorish American Muslim point of view. Once again, not knocking or attacking anyone. I'm coming at the information. And I have love for you, whether you agree with me or not. There's probably other people out there that don't agree. There may be somebody whose girlfriend is European and they don't agree. And they're over there stomping their feet like, wow, she should be able to come in. And sorry, it doesn't work like that. Her ancestors didn't get that tag put on them. They didn't suffer. They didn't get their history stripped from them. That's not for them. That doesn't mean that the spiritual lessons aren't for them. It's just that the construct of the Moorish Science Temple of America and coming in and proclaiming your nationality and learning what it means, learning your religion, Islamism, all of these things. But we're going to get into that because it's not just this. There's several more reasons why. This is important, people. We need to know this so that when folly comes up, you can recognize it. And all of us should be open to correction. If I'm in error, I can recognize it and I can correct myself. I'm not going to keep walking off a cliff. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. This isn't about ego because the words are here from the prophet, and we do not stray from that. And when you recognize error, do not let it go. Correct it on the spot. And then if those people choose to keep going in that direction, so be it. But don't let it go. Correct it. This isn't about trying to prove who's right and wrong. This is about you cannot put out this false information and just keep it going and think that everything's okay. We're going to correct that. And more is in the future. If I'm wrong, if anyone around you is wrong, prove it and prove it with the prophet's works. So as I was saying before, he lets you know in Acts 6 who he's talking about, those who were affected by the Negro acts and the Black codes. Specifically, that's who it's for. With us, they must join and proclaim their nationality. All right. And the prophet referred to those codes and the Negro Acts in Act 6 when he said, no, that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779. It lasted until 1865. He didn't have to explicitly state that the membership was not meant for Europeans, because Act 6 blatantly states that it is for those with those misnomers. Once again, Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians. It's blatantly stated. This is with us that all members must proclaim and then learn that they are not such and such, Negroes, colored folks. It's blatant. So he doesn't have to go on this long list of who it's not for, because he states who it is for. He was specifically working to help our people redefine themselves. If anyone doesn't get that, you don't even know what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about. Of course, it's about the spiritual upliftment, subduing the lower self. That's powerful, and that's universal. But it was also specifically about helping our people redefine themselves, remove themselves from the legal and social economic traps that the descendants of the Europeans and the European colonists established specifically to disenfranchise our people. Right? The Europeans created the Negro Acts and the Black Codes to define the so-called Negro as a permanent slave class of subhumans. Okay? This is not just my opinion. This is what happened. And this is one of the things that the prophet was going about correcting. Islam, Brother Jackson Bey, the Negro problem is only solved through the Moorish divine and national movement. That's the prophet's words. Okay, may have left a word or two out of that quote, but those are the prophet's words, not mine. You can't leave that out. Now, some would come and give away our divine covenant. You know, try to come on, everybody, come on over here, Chad and Karen and all these people. Just come on. It's for everybody. No, it's not. All right, the Negro Law. We have one. This is the Negro Act, the Negro Law of 1740. This is just one. And in the wording in here, in the first section, it declares that all Indians are slaves, right? All and then it also breaks down further into section 2. It says that anyone basically with brown skin bearing the color of a Negro, mulatto, or mestizo is a slave. But that same evidence no longer follows suit for them being declared or being categorized as an Indian, right? Section 1 declares all Negroes and Indians slaves. And then they let it be known, because this is the Negro Law or the Negro Act, it's letting it be known that these people are getting boxed into the label of a Negro. That same prima facie result does not follow from the Indian color. They're getting boxed in, and it's starting to be known that these are the prerequisites: skin color that determines slave status. All right. And so this was what was being done. And this happened on several accounts. And once this had been established across the board throughout the colonies, because 1740, that's before they declared their independence, right? So once this was established firmly, then they had the Black Christian codes coming in to further box in those people and further limit their movement and what they can do to better their own lives. Okay. And, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Okay. And the Prophet established the Moorish Divine and National Movement to help us correct this issue. All right. And then it's obvious just from looking at the images from the Prophet's time, who's in the movement, who came from the Harvey's Negro Improvement Association. They came from that movement and came into this one. Marcus Garvey was the forerunner to the Prophet. They're moving with the same energy. All right. The only difference was he said this is not a Back to Africa movement. And we need to correct that. This Negro label, it's a slave label. We need to get rid of that. And you see that the Prophet said back then, he let it be known this is a slave label. And you saw that in the act that was just up on the screen from 1740. Negro means slave. You are bearing the color of a slave, because they defined it as a slave. And like I said, it didn't happen overnight. It took several acts, several laws, arguing back and forth on the best way to go about doing it to make this happen. Okay. And then you look at the ranks, look at the membership, right? Nobody's saying there were no people of European descent that helped. We don't teach hate. There's no hatred in correcting the situation that your people are in. Where's this hatred thing coming from? That's why I'm saying that's a really dumbed down excuse to go to. That's that thing, that Joe Biden thing, talking about we're not defunding the police. Nobody said anything about defunding the police. What are you talking about? Nobody said anything about hatred. We're not talking bad about Europeans. We don't even talk about Europeans. We're about uplifting ourselves and our community. And matter of fact, like, if Europeans want to listen in and assist, you're more than welcome to. We don't teach hate. We're not against them. That's not what it's about. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit up and pretend that you had your history, your identity stripped from you, you're in subhuman status, and you need to come in now so that you can join the family of nations. That's not what is necessary for you, because your ancestors did that already. What do you think happened in the Council of Nicaea? That's what they did. They decided to go ahead and make Christianity the state religion. They civilized, they declared that they were civilized to the world, and now they're able to partake just like everyone else. So now it's up to us. And so when we look at what was going on, when the prophet was alive, if you look at some of these dates, 1919, Chicago, 1908, 1917, East St. Louis, Tulsa, everybody knows about Black Wall Street, 1921. Come on, these are the so-called Black massacres. These were Asiatic towns being destroyed, right? And the prophet knew that this was going on because this was occurring during his lifetime. All right, there was a serious problem, okay? And it wasn't going to be solved by saying, hey, Europeans, y'all come on and join in. No, we need to take care of this problem specifically that is affecting us, okay? The Christian Black codes were no joke. The people were basically vulnerable. They were left out there. They were vulnerable. And the prophet came to correct this. He said that he traveled through the South. We see that most of these massacres, they occurred up north. You see that Detroit, New York City, Chicago, right? Philadelphia. They happened all over. But down south, right? You see this? Louisiana, even in Memphis, Atlanta, Florida, Mississippi. Come on, the prophet said he traveled through the South. He saw what was really affecting us, and he knew how to correct it. That's what this is about. That's what it's truly about, and you can't skip that or leave that out. I understand people are privileged now. You're privileged now. It's easy to forget what was going on. Somebody said, how can you not be against the devil? Not attacking that point of view, but we understand that the true devil is the lower self. We're looking at it from a higher perspective, not simply from an earthly perspective. Okay? And so I understand what you're saying, but brother, we're going about the really getting true remedy from the issue is to correct yourself. We cannot continue to go along with the trap that is so easy to step over, to walk around. So easy. As a sister Wyatt else said in the Holy Day class, I appreciate her saying that the prophet gave us something that allows us to take the path of least resistance. The Europeans created these Negro acts and Black laws so that they could do stuff like this to us once we inevitably started to move as economic units. Okay, hold up. Okay, this is supposed to be up. This is what I'm talking about, right? Because eventually, no matter what they did, we were going to rise up. So we had Black towns. We were moving at every level. And they were coming and massacring people, right? And we had no protection. This is a part of it. So the prophet did something about that. Look, they pulled the wool over our eyes. They duped us. We're not Negroes or colored, right? They got to keep changing the nickname that they put on us. And these aren't just names, people. These are slave labels. He's letting the people know this. And then he's doing something about it. And I get it. It's 2021. People can forget about this and forget about how serious and severe this situation is and think that, oh, it's all cool. It's all cool, man. Let the Europeans in. It's all good. Love. Don't teach hate. Like, no, we're not teaching hate. This is not a game, people. Just because you're not going out and witnessing people getting lynched doesn't mean that we don't need to take care of this problem. We're still in this same condition right here and now. All right. We're still as a collective, under these slave labels. And the prophet was letting the people know it's not just a nickname. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that got you to this point. You shouldn't just be walking around saying nigga, Negro, any of that stuff, right? It's look, you see that Negro law? Come on. But they put a lot of work into this, and it's a slave label. All right. And that's why our people were suffering. So as he said, when he traveled through the South, our people were suffering, and he knew why. It's our own fault. It's our own fault. And we need to stop going along with it. It's unbelievable, right? That it could be that simple to get out of it. Come into your own nation. And for more information about this, I do need to move on. There's another video on here. Just did it recently. You see the title on there, Black Slave Code, Black History Month Special. Go back and check that video out and share it. Share it throughout this whole month, because Black history, look, Black, Negro, these are slave labels. Black history starts at slavery. We need to get the word out. So y'all help get the word out. Go watch that whole video and share it. Okay? This information needs to get out. I'm not going to put too much more into the Negro Acts, but this is one of the things that the prophet came to undo. And he came to correct. And that's why I'm saying it's important that we know this. All right? Islam. All right. Islam to spiritual K. Yes. We're not disconnecting from the bloodline. It's just the brand name. We have to drop the nickname because it's not an innocent nickname. And it didn't come. There's three reasons why. It didn't come from us, even though we might think it did. It's not just a nickname, and it has deadly ramifications, legal ramifications, right? It means that socially, politically, legally, you are at the bottom. You are a permanent undesirable. It doesn't matter if we have the whole world marching saying Black Lives Matter, which they're doing. They've been doing that for like 5-6 years now. They marching saying Black Lives Matter in France, in all these different countries, and it's not changing anything for us. Why? Because it is a slave label. And we are now at this point in time willingly going along with it, even though I understand most of us don't know. They don't know about the Negro Act. They don't know about these things. This is why the prophet created this for us. And that's why this has nothing to do with Europeans. Now, the spiritual lesson is great, but I've already said that before. I don't have to keep saying that over and over again. These Negro Acts, these things, come on. This is specifically for us. Specifically. Right? Okay, now let's move on. And then, all right, yeah, for further understanding, we're going to go into Drew Ali Speaks to the Nations. Remember, these are the prophet's words. And when he published it, put this out, this is law. This was in the Moorish Guide in 1928, September 28th. Prophet Drew Ali Speaks to the Nations. If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race. Why do you have to redeem your race? Because they've been boxed in with the Negro Acts, with the Black codes. If you have race pride and love your race, well, he's talking specifically to us. This is not a message for everyone. He's saying if you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have the power to redeem your race. So just in case somebody want to act like that was to the human race, he said, then you will have the power to redeem your race because you will know what? Who you are and who your forefathers were. Because where there's unity, there's strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. So, of course, as Negroes, as Blacks, under the Black codes, the Negro codes, all of that stuff has been erased. We're not connected to the creators of civilization. He's reconnecting us. Then we have the power to redeem ourselves because we know who we are and who our forefathers were. That was not a universal message. That was specifically to us. A prophet was raised from amongst us, speaking our language. All right? A Rasul, a messenger. It's what it says in the Quran of Mecca, right? 3 times. And assuredly, we will raise one from amongst you and speak in your language. He understood our plight, our specific plight. And he spoke directly to us. Together we stand, divided we fall. Now, people they don't get it, they just not going to get it. But this is clear and plain to see. There's no hatred in this. There's nothing wrong with us correct. How come anytime we try to correct what's going on with us, you have somebody trying to say, oh, that's hatred. Oh, they're racist because they're trying to fix their conditions? Come on. You can't say that. You cannot say that. All right. So come good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you have now. Mental slavery. That's what we specifically are suffering from. Once again, speaking directly to us. But somebody, I mean, that same person, oh, he didn't say Europeans can't join. Like, dude, he's speaking directly to us. Come on. I'm not going to address that anymore, but can't help everybody. The prophet sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery. A prophet was sent to redeem our nation. We didn't even know we had a nation. He raised up a nation. Redeem us from mental slavery, which you have now, which most of us still have. Need every one of you who think your condition can be better. This is a field open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men. Something that Europeans were already doing. They were already taking their place in the affairs of men in 1928. If the Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? So once again, if these other people are helping me, why not you? Who is the you he's talking to? Oh, it's in the next sentence. Who's the you he's talking to that needs to love your race and join the Moorish Science Temple of America so you can redeem your race? Who is the you, so that you will know who your forefathers were, and so you will know who you are? Who is that you? If other people are helping them, why not you? Who's the you? It is your problem. Who is the you? The you is right here. It says the Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish Divine and National Movement. So there's no confusion about that. He's, once again, just like in Act 6, he's specifically talking to you that has been labeled as a Negro, that has been affected by the Negro Acts, the Black Codes. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. This is what was meant when it said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you. By the prophet, 17:8. We get that plain and clear as day. All right. We are going to go on to the next slide, but hopefully we all got that. Okay. And this is just to make it clear and plain, because I know in the future there'll be even more people who will want to be a part of it. And it's okay to want to be a part of it and assist. But just because you're assisting and want to be a part of it doesn't mean that you were affected by the Negro Acts. Don't play games with this. Don't try to water down the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Don't try to seek power from the Moorish Divine and National Movement. The prophet let it be clearly, plainly understood who he was talking to. Come on now. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back because I can't believe some people don't get that. And I understand this. Everybody isn't getting this information. That's why people need to come in and learn. There's no confusion if you're in here. No confusion at all. If you have race pride and you love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America. And then he let it be known who's the you. If these other people, the Europeans and others, are helping me, why not you? The same you that needs to join. The Negro problem is only being solved as it can by the Moorish Divine and National Movement. Plain and simple. So I also recommend looking over the Divine Warning. Not going to read the whole thing. Very long, but it's beautiful. But it just highlighted a few things in there. Okay. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people. Once again, a prophet is raised from amongst the people speaking their language, specifically to them. He said, I'm to warn my people to resent from their sinful ways. It's sinful to keep going along with these names that delude to slavery and go back to the state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles. The prophet is warning his people to repent from their sinful ways. So he further clarifies that is clinging to the labels deluding to slavery. Negro, Black, and colored. his people. He was sent by Allah to warn his people. Okay, now I'm going to skip down. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. Moorish American and Islamism. And then in chapter 48, the Prophet further clarifies what our free national name and religion is. Right? He specifically, explicitly states, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam. So we are to join and claim our free national name and religion. We're Moorish Americans and we're returning to Islam. We're practicing Islamism. We are returning church and Christianity back to the European nations. Then there's but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine and national movement. Right? And then just skipping down some more. Through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by the citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. Once again, speaking specifically to us, right? Because it's obvious he's talking about us and speaking on the remedy for the systems that were plaguing us. And you could go to the moorsinamerica.com to read this and get the sources for all this and everything. Okay, but those Christian black codes were created to restrict our economic, political, our education, the economic and political movement of those misnomer, Negro, black, and colored. Come on. Right. I need support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. It's like, come and help. He didn't say come and join and proclaim and fix the conditions you were put into. No, help. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional fold. Okay. Claiming by we are violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. Right? Claiming those slave labels. And then he says if Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name, why not us? How is that confusing? He said everybody else do it. Why can't we do it? It should be enforced upon all other American citizens. The distinction is made between the Prophet's people, my people, Moorish Americans, and the other nationalities, because they all have a line of descent already. They're already established. They have their own culture and religion, and they fall under the constitutional rights that the Prophet's people lacked. That's very important. So there can be no twisting of this. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, and exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standard of law by names and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. We were on the outside looking in. Plain and simple. But this is important. Everybody needs to know this. If you're claiming to be Moorish American, you need to know this. Now, if you want to kumbaya, dude, there's nothing wrong with working with people of all backgrounds, all ethnicities. That's beautiful. That's great. But guess what? This was specifically for correcting a very real issue, which once again, I say that people are spoiled. Okay, and man, look, I need to change that, because it's not spoiled to be able to walk down the street and not see someone hanging from a tree. That's not spoiled. That's the way it should be. But I'm telling you, like, we're taking it for granted. Okay, you think that now you can muddy up or sully or weaken the movement when it wasn't for that. The Prophet, who's the forerunner? Marcus Mosiah Garvey. You saw the picture of the Prophet, all Asiatic brothers and sisters. That's the Prophet's peoples. In his own word, Allah sent him for his people. What state is still enforcing the black codes? Islam. It seems apparently every state is. Do you know any state where we truly have rights and the same rights and protected under the law, just like everyone else. Now, it may have evolved. You can't be under the same restrictions from 1865, but no, it's still going on. So there's no hatred at all in the prophet's message, right? That's that thing. That's that Joe Biden thing going, we're going to defund the police. Nobody said anything about defunding the police. So there's no hatred at all in the prophet's message. The spiritual lessons are what is for humanity in general, right? Subduing the lower self, that's for humanity in general. But he has a specific mission to help his own people. He says this in his own words. Allah sent him, the prophet, to his people to help his people who are clearly defined. Those misnomered Negro, Black, and colored. Because why? Because they fell away from Allah. They're clinging to labels, deluding to slavery. There is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers. So with us in Acts 6, the members can proclaim their nationality because they must know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865. That's obvious who that is. These are the slave codes. You see, when you type Black codes on Google, this comes up, slave code from Britannica. And then you see how it says in a little description, United States, African Americans, Black code, slavery in the United States. That's who it's talking about. When you type Black codes, that's what happens. Okay, and when you go and look that slave code up on Britannica, it's going to be talking about what? United States, African Americans, Black code. It's talking about us. This is a huge part of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. We fell away from Allah. It's a sin to cling to labels that delude to slavery. Okay? And so this is very specific. There can be no confusion on that. In chapter 47, verses 9 through 13, and we're talking about the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It states the following: according to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, Black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today, without doubt or contradiction. So in the beginning, he's mentioning the misnomers that we have, which you see those Negro codes that we have been boxed into. And then he gives a true line of descent for us. And lets it be known, you are what your ancient forefathers were. Okay, and there's no one who's able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. So why would anyone be joining to proclaim their nationality? This is not for them. Europeans cannot join and proclaim their nationality, because the proclaiming of nationality is not just about saying, oh, I'm a German American. No, it's more specific than that, because the prophet already addressed that earlier in the divine warning when he's saying, if all these other people have to proclaim who they are, then why not my people? So that's not what it's about. It was to help his people who had fallen and no longer knew their what? Their line of descent. He reconnected us. And now they can define who they are so that they can join the human family. He's specific. He said that in his own words. There's no Negro, Black, or colored race attached to the human family. That's how bad, that's how far we had fallen. We had to proclaim just so that we can join the human family and the family of nations. Why would anyone try to dilute that? Why would anyone try to sidetrack that? I get it if it's just plain ignorance. I don't know any better. I don't know no better. That's fine. And that's why this videos up here. It's not for anybody who's been on this stuff for like 10 years or long. I've been on this for a while. So if I've been on this since like 2005 or something like that, and I'm talking that foolishness about, oh, the Europeans can come in and join, it's something wrong. It's something wrong. I'm not talking about people who've been on this forever. This is for the new people who are coming in who don't mean any ill will. They just don't know any better. Maybe you want your friend because he's cool, he's down. You want him to be part of the movement. Guess what? He can help. I'm not gonna try to clown him. It's not what it's about. I'm not trying to make him feel bad. It ain't about that. He can help, but he can't join because this is why. You see, this is law, bro. Sister, this is law. And that's why they can't join. It's not about just joining and proclaiming. Slides are going slow. I would go right back to the other one where in the divine one, and he says, if all these other people are forced to proclaim, why not my people? Why not my people? That's who it's for. His people. We're the ones boxed in. Y'all stop. Those who know better, stop trying to dilute the movement. Your voices are going to get squashed out. Everybody share this because there's people who are putting falsehood out. Everybody that's watching this, I hope you share it and go back and share that Black Codes video too. Share that all month. Okay, so for the new ones, you just want your friends to be part of it because they're cool. Yeah, cool, but they're not rocking the L in the Bay and pretending to be Moors. They can be who they are and help. What's wrong with that? You know, we're not pretending to be Moors. We're reconnecting to ourselves in our last position of power, right? We're reconnecting because we fell from the human family. You see that? This is the prophet's words. There's no Negro, Black, or colored race attached to the human family. That's how far we've fallen. And you saw the Negro Act. If you didn't, go back and watch this video. The Negro Act in 1740 specifically said, all right, that people that look like us are slaves. Slaves. Undesirables. Not connected to humanity. And then, like, if you make that connection, like a light bulb should be going off in your head, right? Oh, that's why. That's why Black lives don't matter. That's why they shoot, and it don't matter how much people marching, how much you shared, or where I can't breathe or something stupid like that on your shirt. It doesn't stop anything. And then how come everything associated with Black people is failure and losing and dying? I can't breathe. Hands up. You might as well be saying, go on and beat me, kill me. I can't defend myself. Black is slave. Black is death. Black is undesirable. This is taking a while. They didn't do this overnight. It took like 150, 200 years for them to get it to where it is, where they had those Black people in the chokehold. Got them all boxed in. Some of us went with it. We have any connection to the land. I'm glad my granddad told me that his father's a Blackfoot Indian because a lot of us, some of us don't even have that from the elders. You know, they try to keep it going, even though they did their best to disconnect us from the land, disconnect us from who we were, and get us to go along with this thing that they created. It's like when you put one of those things on someone's back to say, kick me. That's what they did. We didn't know it was on our back. The prophet came and he let you know, and he created a nation for you so that you can come back in and sit on the throne. You're supposed to be the king. That's powerful. That's why we honor the prophet. Everybody can't come in and sit on the throne in our spot. You try to let everybody in. This is not what it's about, man. So like I said, man, this does not, that's why I don't do debates and going back and forth with it. I mean, I don't care about if you wrong and you old, I don't care. I don't care. This is about putting the truth out there so that all these other people can get it and share it. I don't do no back and forth with anybody. Forget all that. That's pointless. And you can't change a fool's mind anyway, especially someone. Not calling anyone specifically fools because it's not about that. But if someone's been on this for a while and they don't get it with all of this here from the prophet, there's nothing you can do for them. They'll still be saying the same. Just like Joe Biden, he probably saying that right now for no reason. We can't defund the police. He just wake up in the middle of the night saying that for no reason. Like, come on, man. This has nothing to do with racism. All right. We have serious issues. We weren't attached to the human family. Right. So it's not just, oh, what are you? You French? Okay, come on in the temple and proclaim yourself as what? French American, what? French Canadian, what? No, no, no. It's not that simple. Bro, the line of descent was cut off. We had to join the human family again. Like we not even human. We at the bottom. That's why they got their foot or their knee on the back of your neck, bro. This ain't no game. They're not doing that to everyone. They're doing that to us. So anybody who's trying to say, oh, let's weaken the movement, man, look, they put the kick me sign on our back. We are ripping it off. Everybody's not in our situation. So this is very specific, very specific. These holy and divine laws are from Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And these laws, these are quotes from the Prophet. These laws are to be strictly preserved by members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So anyone that's misguided, right, or attempting to twist the Prophet's words, the laws are clearly cut and they have to be strictly preserved, not erased. You can't alter it. You can't just, right now I'm feeling these white folks. I want to let them in, or my friends, your wife or husband or whatever. No, just no, it's law. You know what law is? This law that I'm reading says these laws are to be strictly preserved by all the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So no, I don't care how you feel. That's not how it goes. They will learn to open their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I also recommend reading chapter 48, the final chapter in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We just have a few verses in here with some commentary on it. The end of time and the fulfilling of all the prophecies. All right, pay attention. Pay attention. Verse 1. All right, hang on one second. And we about to finish up. But we can't play around with this. No playing around with this. The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. All right. And as I said here in the parentheses, it signifies here that his message is universal for all men, just as all prophets before him. This is beautiful. This is a universal message. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Verses 6 through 11. We as a clean and pure nation, descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. Neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. All right. And that's laid out in the Quran. This is law, right? Marrying into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe in the past, converting to their religions and customs that hastened our own downfall, that helped us to get into this situation. And that's unsustainable way of life. So, if we wish to be successful, like a clear line is being drawn. This is law. Okay. And once again, this message right here is not universal. He says we, meaning his people, we, as a clean and pure nation, descended from who? The inhabitants of what? The pale-skinned nations of Europe? No, of Africa. So that's who he's speaking to. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, right? Christianity is for the Europeans, meaning that nationality card that hopefully you all have. I mean, what are you waiting on? Which declares you a Moorish American Muslim under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. It's not meant for the descendants of Europeans. Okay. So once again, we're not supposed to just go and scratch all that stuff out or make a brand new card for everyone else. No, he did that for a reason. Those people, meaning us, who had these slave labels on us, can come in now, and that's why the nationality card declared you a Moorish American Muslim. And we return in church and Christianity back to them. He knows that most of us have, been put into Christianity. That was another kick me sign put on our back. I just created this fool And I'm putting this sign on their back so everybody knows to kick him. Everybody knows to beat him, hit him in the back of the head. He's undesirable. All right. You walking around Christian, and so the prophet did something about that. So obviously this ain't for everybody, right? You're not supposed to scratch everything out on the nationality card. Here, what are you? You're what's some crazy? What, you're Swedish American? Like, no. They don't need to. They're already considered human. Insanity, man. The prophet in his own words said that we fell from the human family. This is not a universal message right here. The first verse, I read that specifically because that's universal, right? It's universal. But the rest of this is specifically for us. So get it right. Don't get it twisted. And y'all know where we stand on this in Ohio. We not with the foolishness. Okay? We spread love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We don't hate anyone, but we're not stupid. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. So it doesn't get any clearer than that. You know, on the nationality card, it says, this is your nationality and identification card for the Moorish Science Temple of America and birthrights for the Moorish Americans. You're not supposed to scratch that out because you want to let the Europeans in. And, oh, what are you? You don't even know. You're just white. You know, for the Moorish Americans, the prophet said Allah sent him to his people to help us. I do hereby declare that you are a Muslim under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. Woo. People, I don't know how anybody could miss this. All right. So, yeah, this is for the people who don't know any better so that they don't get caught up in the confusion that's being spread. Okay? The covenant of the great God Allah. Honor thy father and thy mother that thy days may be longer upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. Let me see what was being said in the chat. Right, Islam. So I appreciate the positivity. Everybody make sure you share this. Because like I said, there's people who are spreading folly, spreading lies, or hopefully they just don't know any better, spreading ignorance. But that has nothing to do with the Moorish divine and national movement. All right. And all of y'all sitting there who don't have a nationality card, you should have your own. Then you know what it says. You don't have to take my word for it. All right. This is no joke. They put the kick me sign on us. The prophet came and ripped it off. All right. That's why we follow the prophet. I'm not following anybody else. I don't care what you say. I could go and see for myself. You sound like you're off. And like I said, this has to be put out there because I see them online. I don't really know any of them out here in the streets, but I see them online of European descent. They're all into our stuff and they want to call themselves L's and Bays. And it's like this, the message, the universal part, cool. But guess what? You faking the funk. You don't have the kick me sign on you. If you really want to help us, you don't have to pretend to be me. No hatred though. But it is what it is, man. Everything don't fly. And you have to have a backbone and stand up for something. This is what is given to us, and it's clearly laid out so that you can stand on your principles. And if you don't have a backbone, step down and let other people lead the way. Okay? Because you can't try to spread things. You can't try to open it up for everyone if it's not for everyone. All right? And if you're telling other people this, you're just spreading lies, spreading ignorance. That's not what it is. Come on, ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed. Okay, so just going to skip the rest. Very clear statement. That's who the movement's for. And this is, again, this is reiterated in the last chapter of the Holy Quran for a reason. It's not meant to be twisted or overlooked. A big portion of the Moorish divine and national movement is getting our people out of the black status, taking the kick me sign off of your back. This was specifically created to take advantage of and enslave them. Why do you put the kick me sign on someone's back? You know, people used to do that in school. Why do you do that? So they don't know it's there. You have to put it on real slowly. I mean, softly, so they don't feel it, or you pat them on the back so they don't know that you actually trying to get them hurt, trying to make them look like fools out here. That's what they did. So, our people still in this situation classed as undesirables. And this is why this is the sole salvation for our people, the Moorish Divine and National Movement. All right, we are trying to uplift humanity. Come and link yourselves with the family of nations. Once again, speaking specifically to us, we honor all the true and divine prophets. Speaking specifically to us, come and link yourselves with the family of nations. Return to the family of nations. That's not a universal problem. That's specifically for the people suffering this condition in their own homeland. That's us, right? So said it before, the spiritual lesson is universal, but the membership in the Moorish Science Temple of America and the correction of your understanding of your heritage, learning your customs, your religion, right? Coming in, Islamism, remember, we're returning Christianity to the European because it's for their salvation, their earthly salvation, right? This coming into Islamism for our earthly and divine salvation, that's specifically for the so-called Negro, Black, and colored people here in America. Specifically. And then if you read like the divine origin of the Asiatic nations, you see that, okay, our people too in the Caribbean, the Atlantis Islands, Central America, South America as well. Right? Okay, that's cool, but you're not going to be trying to go and add stuff that's not in there. But what about Russia? The prophet didn't say Russians couldn't join. He didn't say people from Finland can't join. Like, really? Finland? Really? What he say Belfast? What about Ireland? I got a homie from, like, get out of here. Get out of here. He said who it's for. Okay, that's it. And he goes on and on and on about Negro, Black, and colored people. That's it. And then by default, our cousins too, because I mean, there's people that's like that you would look at and think they're so-called African American and they're from Brazil. Right. I know that for a fact. All right, they're in Belize. They're in Puerto Rico. They're in Jamaica, right? So yes, of course, yes, they're part of it too. All right, but it's for them because these are the people who don't know who they are, and their condition needs to be corrected. And then it would be wrong for us to try to force our ways, our religion, our custom on other people. And that's returning the same crime which was committed to our ancestors. That would be returning that crime on Europeans, which would mean we would have to suffer some more because the karma's got to come back around. We're not here to obliterate anyone else's history and lie to them. We're not trying to tell them they're Moors and your true religion is Islam or Islamism. We're not telling them that. That's not, no, we're returning Christianity to you, bro. So no, this is not for you to come in and join. They don't need to return to the human. To say earlier, long time ago, was a European nation century at the Council of Nicaea, more specifically in 380, when Emperor Theodosius issued the Edict of Thessalonica, and that established Christianity as the official state religion. All right. And that is to say, the faith that was established by the Council of Nicaea earlier in 325. So they specifically established Christianity as the state religion. It was a political move. They're like, okay, this is our religion. Now they universally agreed upon their own spiritual system. So now they can partake in the family of nations. They're not heathens anymore. Okay, and as the prophet stated in this chapter, we are returning the Church of Christianity back to the European nations, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam. Where's the confusion? No, we don't need to change the nationality and identification card so that everyone else can join. No. Why are we doing that? Islam, take that kick me sign off your back. Everybody don't have that. Hey, the spiritual lessons, yes, universal, but no, all of this is not for everyone. It's not. Okay? It's not. And no, we're not going to change it. And now I've seen the nationality card for Cubano Americano, right? It still says all the same stuff, except it's for Cubans. Okay? And it still says they're Muslims. They're declared they're Moors and they're declared Muslims. So, Morenos, it's like if you're not a Moreno, guess what? This ain't for you. What's hard to get about that? Everybody don't have the kick me sign. Everybody didn't fall under the Inquisition. Everybody wasn't in this situation. Okay? The Pope didn't declare everybody heathens. He specifically was going after the Moors. And we're not victims. I'm just saying this is what it was about correcting. Okay, so just to close out, well wishers and sympathizers are welcome to assist in whatever capacity they are able. However, we're not deeming those who have not had their nationality and line of descent stripped from the Moors. We're not doing it. Okay, and if you want to include everyone in membership, you're going directly against our prophet's words. It's in the Quran, it's in the Constitution, it's in the public edicts that he put out that were published in the Moorish Guide. You're going directly against this. You're breaking the law. And if you're breaking the law, you're a fool. You have nothing to do with it. I don't care who you are. You're a fool if you're trying to include everyone in here. You can kick rocks. I'm not trying to be friends with everybody. I don't care. Like you can stand over there, man. I'm just glad I was able to put this out. This is on the website, moresinamerica.com. Do two things. Go to the website and share that link, because some people still like to read. And you could go on there and see the sources where all this is coming from. And then also share the video. All right. But once again, Act 6 states plainly who the movement is aimed at, and also who the membership is to be comprised of. It is for the so-called Negro. Hope you're not still calling yourself the N-word. Some of us still let it slip out. That's a slave label. All right. That's the kick me sign on your back. If anyone doesn't agree with this, hey, you can kick rocks. You're attempting to remix what the prophet brought and do your own thing, and you can do your own thing by yourself. Nobody likes you. Go do your thing over there, because you're trying to water down the Moorish Divine and National Movement. All right, so don't get it twisted. We don't play games over here. And so you had those examples from the past. It was some Moors, I think, like they played jazz or something, and they let some of the European dudes start their own Moorish Orthodox church, and they were giving them the lessons and stuff, and it has nothing to do with us. I don't care. That's not what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali or the forerunner to the Prophet Marcus Mosiah Garvey was about at all. Obviously. Okay? And that's chapter 47, last verse. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe, whom they knew nothing, of whom they knew nothing. That's what it's about. Okay, and that's why the message was specifically to us. And so, that deads any foolishness out there. Just make sure you do two things. Share the video and go to moresinamerica.com and share the article too. Take the kick me sign off your back. I'll go back and put the article link in the description for this video so that you can share it. Just share those two things. And then one more thing too, go back on the channel and share the video about the Black codes. It's going at Black history, and it's kind of, it's exposing the Black codes and all that, putting that out there. That needs to get out there. That needs to be shared all month for February, because it's time for this. It's time for the word to get out. Black history is slave history. Okay, so that's it. Guess I'll look real quick, see if you got questions, but this just needs to get out there, because I think this is pretty straightforward. All right, no muddying up the waters, man. Anybody just saying anything else, they trying to water down the movement. And there's no time for people like that. They can kick rocks. Let them do it by themselves. Right? This is nothing against Europeans. It's nothing against anyone. What's wrong with you taking the kick me sign off? Well, you can't do that because people want to include everybody. Come on, man. Islam. All right, good. So that's it on that note. We're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Appreciate all of y'all. Make sure you click like and share, and also share that article. And on that note, we're getting up out of here for real. Peace and love.